Hey guys, so my name's Jake. I have never really been much of a guy for posting videos. Anybody who sees my social media knows I never post anything, but I decided that I needed to make this video because, well, one, there's just been a lot of things that I've experienced lately, and I've told this story enough times, and there's been a lot of people that have been asking me about it, and I just figured, hey, might as well make a video of it so then people can refer back to it or, you know, share it if they want to. The only reason I'm sharing this video is just because my view on the world has shifted a ton in the last while, and I believe that Jesus is coming back soon. His second coming is closer than we all realize, and I was deceived. And I feel like people should know how Satan works. I feel like I've learned a lot about how his demons work, how this spiritual warfare is happening, and I just wanted to make this video as kind of a warning, I guess, that Jesus is coming back, and just to kind of bear my testimony, you know. So, I was raised Mormon. I was born in Provo, Utah, raised in Cedar City, Utah. So I served a LDS mission. I was hardcore Mormon, and I really believed in Christ, but about 6 years ago when I got back from my LDS mission, I found out my dad had left the church, and that shook my whole world. At first I, was strong in the church, I held true, and I didn't ever want to listen to him, but after 4 years of that, so 2 years ago now, I fully heard out what he had to say about the Mormon church. And I don't want to make this video about, I still have a lot of family members who are in the church, and my views about even the church have shifted now a ton. I don't think I'll ever be Mormon ever again in my life, but when I left the church 2 years ago, I totally threw the baby out with the bathwater, which was also my belief in Christ. When I left the church, I started smoking weed, I started having sex with girls, I started doing mushrooms, which that's going to be the basis for a lot of these, these stories that I want to tell. When I left the church, I just went through a huge phase of nihilism. I just thought that there was no purpose in life. I would tell everyone I was agnostic, but honestly, I was borderline atheist. I felt like I had been lied to about the Mormon church. Why would I hesitate to believe that I was also lied to about Christ? I mean, I just thought that religion in general was just a lie to get us all to comply, just basically a tool that the government used to manipulate us into being good, obedient citizens. With that belief, I just felt like there's no life after death, and I had a hard time too believing a lot of the experiences that I had on my mission, and a lot of these really spiritual experiences were just anything more than psychological phenomena, and I didn't really know what to believe, and I was just having a really hard time, and I went through this phase of just wanting to know that something was real. My brother at the time, I was telling him, hey, let's get a Ouija board. Not that I was attracted to anything demonic, I felt like I couldn't rule out a lot of my experiences and these miracles that I had seen on my mission. I couldn't rule them out to just being to chance. Even though they were highly improbable of just being a coincidence, there's still a small chance that it was just a coincidence. And so I wanted something concrete that I could rule out the possibility that it was, just a coincidence. So I felt like if I had experienced something with, evil, even if it was scary and, demented, at least it would be real, and it would confirm that there's something that I have to look forward to, the afterlife, and, that this life is more than just 100 or so years at best of, good living and then just sleeping forever. So, but, he ultimately didn't want to do that. But we were using mushrooms a lot. And just to give you guys a basis for this, okay, psychedelics in general, okay, they are completely different from just these other drugs that people, talk about and they get addicted to. Okay, it's not like cocaine or heroin or meth or, okay, I found this out recently, but I was shocked to find that the word in the Bible, when it talks about sorcery, the Greek word for sorcery is pharmakia. So you can hear the word pharmacy in there. It's talking about drugs or magic. That's what sorcery is, drugs or magic, pharmakia. So, you know, I didn't know that at the time, obviously, but these mushrooms, I mean, they're, seriously, my opinion now about psychedelics is that it's a biological key to separate the spirit from the body and, you know, kind of separate us from this earthly limitation. Like DMT, the most powerful hallucinogenic known to man, it's released naturally in the brain. Little amounts are released throughout the day, but at the time of death, your brain is flooded with DMT. So when people have these near-death experiences, this is why they experience the white light and they see angels and loved ones and, you know, have these mystical experiences, right? You can look at the chemical structure for DMT and compare it to psilocin, which is in its active form psilocybin from mushrooms. When it's broken down, psilocin and DMT is almost chemically identical. It's this complex structure, and there's one OH group that's barely off. It's basically the same thing. I would say that mushrooms are basically doing the same thing to our body as what DMT is doing, and I would say that the experiences are very similar. So after I left the church, you know, relationship with my mom was really bad. I mean, you can imagine, I left the church, and for 4 years after I'd gotten back from my mission, when my dad had already left, my mom kind of, you know, looked to me as, you know, the new priesthood leader in the home, the new, you know, kind of the person to help lead the rest of my siblings in the ways of truth and righteousness and all that. You know, I'm oldest of 6 kids, and with my dad having left, she really looked to me as the person to help them gain a testimony of the Mormon church. So when I left, you know, she felt betrayed, and, you know, I felt then rejected because she started treating me way different, and ultimately, you know, our relationship grew sour, and I hadn't talked to her for about a year. And after not talking to her for a year, she posted something on Facebook that really made me mad, so I got in a huge argument with her, and then I went over to, you know, her house to talk to her, and we just got in a huge fight, originally intending to just, you know, fix our relationship and establish that I was, you know, not a Mormon, but we could still have a loving relationship. But it ended up in a huge fight. I left, and on my way up to Salt Lake, you know, to see my cousins, I sent her a big long text saying, you're toxic for my life, you don't approve of who I am, and you make me feel bad for just doing what I feel you know, makes me happy and is okay. And so I told her that I didn't want to see her ever again. So I went to Salt Lake, and the same day after I had just blown up with her, you know, we had already planned to do this mushroom trip. So I had just a lot of hate in my heart towards my mom. But going into this mushroom trip, I knew that I should be loving, but still I figured I would just put those thoughts in the back of my mind and I would just have a good time. And guys, again, pharmakia, just remember that, okay? Mushrooms, no doubt in my mind, it's sorcery, okay? It's not just in your head that this stuff is happening. You are tapping into a spiritual world that, you know, we normally don't see or have very much attention to. But so about 40 minutes or so into this, you know, as soon as I start feeling it, almost immediately it starts where I see this this amorphous blob, just this orb in front of me, okay? And it's pushing on my chest. I don't really think much of it, but this blob is pushing on my chest, and after about 30 seconds of it pushing on my chest, I just kind of give in. It just pushes really hard. And, you know, you want to be relaxed when you're on mushrooms, so it pushes really hard, and I'm just like, okay, this isn't worth resisting. So I just kind of give in, and it enters my chest. And immediately, once it enters my chest, my thoughts start changing. And the first thing I am trying to say is, I am not Jake. And it's not me that's thinking this. It's wanting to say, I am not Jake. And it's wanting to, you know, to say this, but I'm resisting. And I have this internal battle with this demon that just entered me for about 5 minutes. And my cousin is looking at me and he can see in my eyes that I'm panicking, you know. And so he asked me if I'm okay. And I reach over to him, basically trying to communicate, but I can't say anything. I can just make little sounds. I'm just trying to say something, but I can't. I'm just looking at him with panic in my eyes. Just, So they start recognizing that something's up. And the only thing I can say at this point, the first thing I remember saying, and it took a lot of force to finally say this, is I just scream out, there's someone inside of me. And, you know, they think I'm joking at first. My brother's there and he just looks at me and he's just like, gay, you know. It would have been funny if I hadn't been experiencing what I was experiencing, but you know, they realize after a little bit that no, I'm dead serious. And apparently I had said to, I am not Jake. I don't remember saying that, but apparently I said it a couple times. After a few minutes of them, you know, figuring out, okay, this is real, Jake's serious, my brother starts talking to me and he says, well, Jake, let it in. A while ago, you were talking to me about messing with a Ouija board. This never happens. We've done shrooms dozens of times. Let it in. Hear what it has to say. Learn from it. You know, you don't get this opportunity very often. And I told him, dude, I'm scared. This thing, I can feel it. And it does not have good intentions. It's malicious, and I can feel that it is inherently evil. It does not want to do good by me. But, you know, he talks me into it. So then I look up to at the ceiling as I'm kind of gathering the courage to, you know, move forward with this and kind of, you know, not resist. And I remember just seeing the outline of a square, and it was the normal dosage, okay? It was just the normal dosage, just 3.5 grams. And, but yeah, I see this outline, just like a rift in, you know, what I was seeing, just this square just rippling, almost as if there was a doorway and that was about to be opened up, like it recognized I was about to, you know, consent, I guess. And I remember as soon as I gathered the courage and I consented, everything changed. It was, the way I describe it is, it was as if there was a candle always burning in my heart for, you know, who I am, for my purpose in life. And it was as if that candle just blew out as soon as I consented. Guys, when I tell you that I have never felt more awful in my life, words cannot describe how awful I felt. Okay, the agony and just everything, it was horrible. I instantly just started bawling. Okay, I started screaming out so loudly, kill me, kill me. Like, I'm not suicidal, guys, at all. I love life, okay? Anybody who knows me knows that I am not that way. I'm not depressed and, you know, pretty upbeat. But I just was feeling so awful, and there was no escaping this feeling. It was as if there was a permanent stain on my heart, something that I just could not undo. And there was no getting past that, and it was better to die and just, you know, forget everything than to have to bear that agony any moment longer. I was screaming so loud, kill me, so loud to the point where my cousins, they were seriously thinking about knocking me out because I was screaming that loud. They were worried that the neighbors were going to overhear me, and, you know, that they were going to hear me screaming and call the cops and get us all in trouble. So, and it was going on for, seriously, like, I would say 30 minutes. It was probably, yeah, seriously a half an hour of me just wailing and crying and just switching between saying, you know, I'm sorry, and, you know, kill me. But, guys, it was awful. Like, seriously, words cannot express. That was hell to me, okay? I know you know, a lot of people talk about actually experiencing the real hell, like the lake of fire and all that, okay? for me, it might as well have been that. I mean, it was just as bad. I didn't care for life anymore. The way I look at it now, it must have been, you know, the light of Christ just leaving me. Again, it was just totally absent from me, that love, that light. There was just no reason to live anymore. I just viewed myself as this wretched being, and there was no escaping it. It was scary. Oh, man. So I knew that I wasn't going to escape this. So then I started just crying out, you know, call mom. I was telling my brother to call mom because, you know, I knew that this had all stemmed from that interaction that I had with my mom. And, you know, he was saying, no, it's the middle of the night. Don't, she's probably asleep. But I was just begging. And so he texted her, and she responded back, you know, just kind of confused, like, okay, you were just saying how much you hated me. She, you know, was thinking like, what were you guys smoking? Well, turns out she was kind of right. We were doing something. But so anyways, she ultimately said, okay, yeah, that's great. I love you guys. I appreciate it. And, you know, hearing that she texted back and was saying that, you know, brought me a lot of relief in the moment. I stopped screaming. I stopped, you know, I calmed down. I still felt like there was a permanent stain on my soul, and I knew I had to make it up with my mom. And the next day we made up and everything. But so this whole experience that I just explained happened in April. Okay, so I do summer sales. So this happened right before we were going out to do sales in Tennessee. After that experience, I still thought that I was going to be doing shrooms for the rest of my life. Okay, at this point, you know, when you initially start doing mushrooms, you feel so much love, and the guys, Satan is behind this. Satan will tell 9 truths with 1 lie. Okay, it's literally going into this, there is so much good stuff that you'll experience, but it's only to bait you in, to then reveal these lies that will just trap you and keep you going down the wrong path. After that happened, I should have known, like, that was horrible. I was possessed. There was a demon in me that made me want to kill myself. I should have recognized how evil that was. But afterward, I was just thinking, oh yeah, this was a good thing. You know, I've always experienced love, and I went in with hate in my heart, and it cured me of it. I mean, oh, I'm so grateful that it happened, because it, you know, I was able to shed karma through it, and, you know, it was able to make me more of a, you know, loving Christ-like person even. I mean, these are the kind of lies that you tell yourself to justify what had happened. So I was still thinking I was going to do it for the rest of my life, okay? I knew now that there was something, that there was a spiritual nature about us as human beings. Now I had something concrete, and I wanted more. So the summer starts at this point, and I'm telling a lot of people about this experience that I've had, and immediately my brother and I start getting into New Age. We start looking at videos from Stephen Greer. We find out that there's this whole library of videos that you can watch and subscribe to, and so it's this app called Gaia, and so we pay to, you know, subscribe to this whole library of videos, and it's just all New Age stuff. New Age is basically just this umbrella term that encompasses a whole bunch of ancient practices, like, you know, and just kind of makes a new religion out of it. Okay, and seriously, guys, I didn't realize what I was getting into. But it's all evil. I'm telling you, it is all evil. So we were getting into meditation, you know, astral projection. I was buying heavily into the idea of reincarnation, and we were talking about realigning our chakras. And you think that this stuff is innocent? It's not. There's an evil basis behind all of it. If you go back to the roots of every one of these topics, seriously, it's evil. And I know, and again, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from this by saying that. No, I don't care. I have to give my experience, and I know that this is evil, guys. Okay, so I don't care if people judge me for it. I have to get this message out there. So anyways, doing summer sales, we don't have a lot of time to, like, we're knocking doors every day and pretty long hours, but every spare second I have, I'm watching these videos. Okay, and what's really interesting, because it shows you a bunch of science and a bunch of things that they don't teach you about in school. They teach you a ton about Nikola Tesla and how a lot of these things are possible, but it doesn't just show you the science, it also shows you, it quickly turns the theoretical into practice. And so if you know that you can do all these things, you're not gonna just sit by passively and do nothing. I mean, so when I wasn't watching these videos, which was basically every moment, you know, I was trying to do these things, I was meditating. Me and my brother, we were to the point where we were, you know, trying to bend spoons. We weren't able to do that. I'm sure we could have had enough time transpire, but it was still pretty new. We only had the summer of doing this, but you know, we took a pendulum and we were able to, with our minds, change what, you know, which way it was spinning. And you know, there's power in this. I'm telling you, there really is. But so what really now got me into this next experience when I was possessed was when I started getting really excited about astral projection, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically the idea that you have your spirit, they'll call it your astral body, and you get relaxed, and you basically, when your body's relaxed, your spirit is still awake, and your spirit leaves your body, and your astral body goes around and, you know, travels around the world and, you know, wherever you want. So I'm trying to do this astral projection, and I'm listening to these headphones, okay? I feel the vibrations throughout my whole body, and, you know, but it comes and then it dissipates, comes and dissipates. I take my headphones out and I just roll over to my side. That's usually how I sleep. So instantly I become really relaxed. And even though the headphones are out, all of a sudden, that sound just comes blaring back to me. It's almost as if there's a trumpet in my ear blaring those same binaural beats, and I feel it. It's so loud, even through my body. Like, it's almost like I can hear it in my body. It's just vibrating so much. And so then I start moving into the next step of astral projection, which is to then, once you reach this point, to try to leave your body. And so I start rolling out, and at this time, because it was Sunday morning when I was doing this, and my bed was right next to the window, and there was always the sun shining in, so I put these eye covers on just so that, you know, it wasn't distracting me while I was trying to do this. So once I start trying to roll out of my body, all of a sudden I'm able to see everything in front of me. Even though I have these eye covers on, I see everything. And my arms are in front of me, I start moving my arms around, and I can see my arms, my spirit hands, if you want to call it that, you know, moving in front of me. And, you know, then I roll forward, and I'm locked at the hips still, but I remember, you know, still my torso is out of my body, and I'm looking around my room. And this whole experience only lasts for maybe, you know, 5 to 10 seconds. It really wasn't long, but I was fully conscious. It wasn't just a dream. And anybody who's experienced this knows what I'm talking about. It's real. And so I get really excited at this point, and then I get thrown back into my body, and then it all ends. But that experience was, again, like this next big step. Again, it was so exciting. I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. And so then I start telling, you know, my buddy and my brother, and, you know, I'm just telling them this experience that I just had, and, well, guys, it was real. We gotta try this together now. You know, and it's just to bait us in, to get us, you know, deeper and deeper into this stuff, okay? So I have also, in learning about astral projection, they teach you about your spirit guide. That once you leave your body, that there are beings on the other side, and you need to be careful about which ones you encounter, and you need to make sure that you get to know your one that's dedicated kind of to you, to kind of guide you through this spirit world. And there's even other dimensions, not just this one here. So I'm telling everybody, okay guys, let's do mushrooms, because at this point I believe that, you know, psilocybin and DMT, a lot of these, you know, drugs, again, are, you know, just biological keys to separate the spirit from the body. And I still believe that, but it's just not good. The Bible doesn't talk about doing this in a, you know, it condemns it outright. I mean, that's not what we're here for. But so I'm telling him, guys, let's try to astral project. Let's try to leave our bodies, or do, you know, some of these things with mushrooms, because it'll be easier. Such a stupid idea. Such a stupid idea. So the next week, it starts out, we have good intentions. We each have a question in mind going into this. My brother's saying he wants to learn how to, love people more and, how to be a more loving person. And my question is, I want to meet my spirit guide going into this. And, we all sit there in silence, we meditate, and, basically do this whole ritual to, bring in what we think is just good vibes. So we do this, and I decided that I was gonna, double the amount of shrooms that I took. So, and it is definitely dose related thing. The more mushrooms you do, the crazier the experience will be. So I do 7 grams. And so after doing that whole, ritual and everything, and then we, start out, everything was beautiful. I remember I saw colors that I had never seen before. Everything was just glimmering. I saw my brother and my friend there just in a completely different light. I just felt like, all this love that you could feel. I just felt it all. And, pretty much right off the bat, I got what I asked for. I was literally, I remember there was someone kind of guiding me through this. And I remember feeling like I had known this person in like a past life or something. That was my impression. And he took me even to this other dimension where he showed me these, I don't know how to describe it other than interdimensional children. They were almost like alien children that were just innocent and vulnerable. And I remember feeling all this love for these, children. And I recognized that how vulnerable they were, I needed to be careful and not to jeopardize their safety and whatnot. And I remember just having this distinct impression that everything they were going to reveal to me was sacred, and I needed to be ready for what I was going to learn, so that, and not to use this information for bad, as to jeopardize the safety of these children, so it was all super good and loving at first when this all happened. What happened next was totally different from what I was experiencing before. Before, there was just all love and joy and happiness. All of a sudden, I'm back in the room. Okay, I'm not in this other dimension seeing these interdimensional children and whatnot. Okay, I'm in the room, and my friend is looking at me. I don't want to say his name, but my friend now starts asking me to do homosexual acts with him. Okay, I've known him for a while. He is completely straight. Okay, I know that. And I am completely straight as well. And what's interesting too is we actually filmed this whole interaction there because we felt like there was going to be some crazy things that were going to happen. I mean, we kind of asked for it. Asking you shall receive, knocking it shall be opened unto you. That same principle is applicable in the demonic as well. Everything Christ has planned, Satan has a demonic counterfeit for that spiritual principle. Everything, okay? And so going into this experience, we were asking for something grandiose, and we knew something was going to happen. And so we filmed it. And what's interesting is when we looked back, they weren't saying any of this stuff to me, okay? But he was asking me to, be gay with him, basically. And I've never wanted to do any of this in my life, okay? And I'm immediately telling him, no, just disgusted. And he's sitting there and making these demonic looks at me like, you're a bad person if you ask. And then trying to make it more enticing. Come on. And being very, I can still see the face of him when he's making these faces. Anyway, I'm disgusted, and I tell him, no. And I look to my brother too and asking him, like, back me up here, basically. And he starts saying the same thing. No, he's right. You have to. And I remember just feeling so disgusted at this point, just ganged up on. I mean, I remember just crying out, you too? And just like, you're my brother, one. Anyway, it was almost like they were the salesman. Every time I said no, they had a rebuttal for it, just planned out. They didn't have to hesitate and think about it. They just instantly came at me with some law of one reason for why I had to. And, just making me feel guilty and evil for not giving in to that. And guys, free agency is something that demons have to respect. They can't just do something to you without you consenting in one way or the other. And that's how they get you to consent. They'll lie to you to think that, and make you believe that, you know, you're either a bad person, like what they were doing to me, or that there's something, you know, scary or waiting for you on the other side if you don't consent to what, that you are sacrificing something by doing what they want, but that the alternative is worse. That's how they get you. And I can see that so much what's going on right now with so much that's going on politically, guys. I'm telling you, like, the same tactics that were used on me and everything here are the same tactics that are being used in office, like with, and I know that sounds crazy, really conspiratorial, but guys, I'm telling you, this whole coronavirus thing, okay, it is to get people to be fearful, okay? It's to get you to believe and throw away your rights so willingly, and just because, and they're just drilling it left and right, just fear, just, you know, and this, the masks and everything, you see them, it's to make you scared. Anyway, so they're making me feel so guilty about saying no, that eventually I felt like I had no choice, and I just tell them, okay, get it over with. That's all I say. I feel defeated, and I just tell them that. And almost immediately, I feel those same vibrations through my body when I was astral projecting a week before. Okay. In Buddhism, the stance that that they do, you know, your legs are crossed, you're sitting down, and your hands are going like this, and your arms are outstretched, and they talk about doing that eternal Om, the Om. That's the same sound. And the reason I say that is because I had this whole basically Sunday school lesson afterwards from these demons preaching to me more and more about the law of one, okay? And how I needed to meditate for the rest of my life, and just all these things about how I needed to be okay with death in order to really get life, and that I needed to embrace. I'll get to that in a second, just what they were telling me, but I immediately feel those vibrations again in my body, and my arms start flopping, and I don't have control of my body anymore. It's gone. Like, I am literally possessed at this point. I don't feel like there's a being inside of me that I'm hearing his thoughts. It was almost as if they were afar off, controlling me, and all the actions I'm doing, I'm just a rag doll at this point. And I don't remember very much of that happening before then. I was in a completely different place, and just basically stuck in this fractal where I was in this black room talking with my higher self. My higher self had a lot to say about this law of one stuff. Just to kind of explain a little bit more about duality and this, you know, the law of one. It's basically this idea that, and it sounds really good at first. I'm telling you, it sounds really good at first, okay? There would be no life without death. There would be no good without evil, okay? It's going on off of this idea that you can't have one without the other, and it basically sets the pathway for you to adore Satan. And this is, again, some of the stuff that they're kind of getting to me, that God is actually the bad guy, because he is over here on the far right, you know, and the Buddhistic stance where you have your hands outstretched, on the one hand represents life, the other one represents death, and you're supposed to find your center, find the balance between the two, that you shouldn't only chase the good. And that's why God is bad, is because he represents everything that you think you want and that you think you need, but you're forgetting and neglecting like the bad side, and you need to embrace a healthy dose of this evil to go along with it. That's what finding your center is. And like this is what it's leading to, and it literally glorifies Satan for being the one that made all of life possible. Oh, he's the one that does the dirty work. He makes the evil, he makes life possible because he is the hated one. We all give him perpetually this hate, yet he continues to do it. And if it weren't for him, there wouldn't be this split between good and evil and life and death. And it's so evil. It sounds good at first, but that's what they're leading to. And this is some of the stuff that, again, these demons were getting to, that they were, and I thought it was all good. I was talking to what I thought was my higher self and everything. And that's just a lie. Demons can take the form of whatever they want. They don't have a body. The Bible itself says that Satan can, you know, masquerade as an angel of light. Okay? When we look at the tape of what they were saying, my friend and my brother, they weren't saying that at all. Okay? But I was experiencing it, and I can still in my head remember what the expressions that they made, the facial expressions. It's just so ingrained in my mind how sick I felt. But so there is no higher self. It's all a lie. These are just demons masquerading as whatever you think is good. So, you know, and just so then that once they know that you trust them, they'll just tell you whatever lie they can to just bring you subtly down to hell. It's literally what's going on, guys. So anyways, I'm having this whole Sunday school lesson that I think is all great, you know, from these demons. And I'm just sitting here thinking, oh, this is so profound. This, you know, the law of one, I'd learned a little bit about it before, but I'm just learning about it from a completely different light, you know, way more in detail. And anyways, I do not realize, but my body is completely possessed. I'm in a different place, and my brother has a completely different story to tell about what happened. From his experience, I was doing these dances and I was doing these rituals, and I kept repeating these movements that he was saying. And he even asked me at one point, like, why are you doing this? Does it even have any significance? And he said that I looked at him like with this look of yes, and you should do it with me. And he says that I was trying to get him, I kept trying to get him to do these things with me. And that when he wouldn't agree, that I was getting angry with him. And I kept telling him, I am Jake Baker. And then he said that my voice kept getting lower, like I was trying to really prove to him that, and like, you know, muster some kind of authority to prove but yeah, he said that I kept telling him that I am Jake Baker, and like, you need to listen to me. And so he said that after he wouldn't do it, I was getting angry with him to the point where I was trying to punch him. And my friend had to intervene. It was apparently getting violent to the point where my friend had to get in between us and separate us. But I was still just getting so angry that I don't remember any of this, guys. Serious. I don't remember a thing of that, okay? I don't remember being mad at my brother. I don't remember throwing punches, but apparently I got him in the closet somehow and was trying to wrestle him, and he, you know, was trying to get away, but I was throwing punches at him, and I don't know, guys, I have no idea how this happened, but I broke my hand. I got a boxer's break, and I actually had to have surgery. So yeah, they opened it up. They had to put 4 pins right in here and restructure it. I don't remember that at all. Oh man, it's crazy. They don't have any care in the world for you. They make you feel like they care. They make you feel important. And then, you know, then they just took over my body and, you know, defiled it like that. Anyway, so I'm in a completely different place, like I was saying. And I remember being, you know, swept back to my body at a couple different points. I apparently already had my shirt off at this point. But when I was thrown back to my body, I remember taking my, and it's embarrassing, guys, but whatever. I took my boxers and my basketball shorts that I was wearing. I apparently threw them on the ground and started running for the door. Just immediately ran for the door. I was thrown back to my body, not knowing what the context was, what was happening. And I kind of only partially had control of my body at this point. I was already in the motion of, you know, stripping down when I was doing this. And same thing, running for the door. I don't even know how I was able to do those two things at once, but somehow I was able to make it happen. But I remember then just being terrified, like, this isn't normal. What am I doing? And I was literally running for my life. I felt so scared, like there was a reason I was running. So, and I don't know how they caught me, but they apparently had seen enough crazy stuff happen at this point that they were, you know, on edge. They were ready for me to do something. So they ran after me and tackled me after I got out the first door. As soon as they tackled me, I lost all control of my body again. I fell like a limp corpse to the ground. And I remember seeing, like, I could still move my eyes, and I remember seeing them, and it wasn't them, but they were looking at me just with disgust and making all of these ridiculous comments. And I know it wasn't them because, again, they were still going on, both of them, my brother and my friend. They were both making all of these ridiculous accusations about, and at the time, I felt like that first time I was possessed again. Like that black stain on my heart that I was talking about where the candle blew out. I was feeling again condemned, and they were saying all these things like, you're a horrible person, and we're delivering you now to die. And they drugged me into the closet, and they shut the door. And I remember once they shut the door, it was just pitch black in there, and I felt like I had been buried alive. And even though the door was shut, I could still hear these demons talking to me, and it was all telepathically, any communication we had this whole time. I remember I was still crying out to them in my thoughts, just save me, help me, and they were still telling me these Law of One teachings, just, no, you are a horrible person, you are going to die, like, you need to die in there, you need to embrace the bondage and the torture and, you know, the prison sentence, I guess. You have to endure that time and learn to love it before you get to enjoy again. You've experienced too much freedom, too much life, too much love, too much all of this. And you have to experience the other side and learn to love it, to find your center and to be able to truly enjoy life. And I remember just being so petrified. And it felt almost like medieval times when, you know, people are being delivered to be hung or whatever, and, you know, people are throwing garbage and stuff at them. And I remember just, it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. I remember, I don't even want to go into detail about a lot of what I experienced there. It was just I felt like hell. It was, again, it was that same hell when I was possessed that first time. And so finally, I come to, finally these mushrooms are wearing off. And I remember, I don't even realize my hand is broken. And so then I go and I talk to them, and they're all looking at me like, is it you? And it took them a second to finally believe that it was me. So after that, guys, I was still lying to myself that that was a good experience, that I was whatever, shedding karma, that it was like surgery, that I needed to go through it. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but I'm glad it happened because it revealed so much. And I think, oh, I'm going to meditate even more. But I'm still broken. Guys, I can't tell you how broken I felt after that. I felt so violated. Up till this point, getting into all of the New Age stuff over the summer, I remember having little moments where I felt like Christ was calling to me. But, you know, I remember even telling my brother a couple times, I feel Christ pulling me, and I don't know what it is. And he kept, you know, just reassuring me, yeah, well, it makes sense. You were Mormon for a really long time. You know, it's part of letting go. It's just you're at a better place. And, you know, and I was just like, yeah, sure. At one point over the summer, I remember I sold this woman, and she just after the sale, we were talking, and she was telling me, or asking about my story, and I told her how I used to be Mormon and I left, and she started talking to me, well, I hope you have your heart open to Christ. And she started to just bear a testimony. And guys, this was my 4th year doing summer sales. I've never reacted this way before, but ever. But she started talking about Christ, and for some reason, and I thought at first, oh yeah, just go along with it, you know, don't break rapport, because, you know, maybe she'll cancel the account afterward, or, you know, whatever. But she started talking about Christ, and I started crying, and I was taken back. I've never cried on the doors before like this. I was just so taken back. Just, why am I having this kind of a reaction? And I remember we were in a good enough mood where I was like, oh, look what you did, you know, I need to go now. And, you know, just as soon as I started realizing I was reacting that way, and, you know, I basically was like, all right, thanks, yep, appreciate it, all right, I need to get back to work, bye. And but I remember that really stuck with me. And, you know, over the summer, I kept having these thoughts that Christ was calling to me. And I had never really given it much thought other than just kind of like what my brother was saying, that, oh, it makes sense. You were Mormon for so long. It was a huge part of your life. I mean, you just have to, it's going to be painful, but yeah, you got to let that go. And that's the thing. You get into all of this New Age stuff, and they all talk about Jesus like he's the elephant in the room, that they need to address him and say that he was an enlightened being, but they don't for a second admit that he was the Son of God, that there was anything divine about him. And so they address him, but then don't say anything more about him. I remember seeing some other videos on Gaia about him, and I remember just like even searching that, you know, the terms, you know, Jesus, Christ, Savior, you know, all these things, you know, there's nothing about him, just, you know, stuff that fits the New Age paradigm, so that, you know, it kind of leads you towards believing in reincarnation. And they even teach you in this New Age stuff that, oh yeah, Jesus even taught about reincarnation, and they give a few scriptures that at, you know, face value, you look at it and you think, oh yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, but so I am just, after that second experience of being possessed, I just feel so broken, just so violated, and just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I felt like, oh yeah, it was overwhelming that I needed to meditate and do all these things, but that's the furthest thing from what I wanted to do at this point. And I'm not talking about Jesus anymore at this point, but it was no more than a day after. It was probably, you know, like maybe the day after. I remember on YouTube, it pops up in my YouTube feed, from New Age to Christian. And I had never heard about New Age at this point. I didn't know what it was, but I just saw the Christian part and just thought, interesting. So I watched it, and it was this girl who, you know, just this about 30-minute testimony of how she was into all of the same stuff that we were into, except more, she was doing tarot cards and, you know, but essentially all of the same stuff that we were getting into. And just saying how demonic it was, and telling her story about how then she was brought to Christ and recognized that everything was inspired of Satan. And I remember hearing that, and just, I remember being touched by the part about Christ and, you know, her testimony. But I was still skeptical that everything I was getting into was completely evil. I was like, no, but there's so much good coming from it, and just so obvious. All I can say about that is I was touched by it. It was a good moving video, and it was a beautiful testimony about Christ. That's all it was. I remember telling my brother about it and having this whole conversation about how, you know, I think it's awesome everything we're getting into, and I think that this is what we're meant to do, but I think we ought to give Christ a chance. I think we ought to look into him a little more. That's all I said. And And guys, all of this demonic stuff, if it was limited to just when I was on shrooms, just what I've explained so far, I would be willing to believe that this was all just a psychological effect. You know, that maybe it's not as concrete as I'm, you know, saying as it all is, even though it's so real. When you experience this, it's more than just tripping, okay? But once I was moved by that video, all of a sudden, I began to be oppressed demonically outside of when we were doing mushrooms. It was almost as if these demons now that had latched on to me, and, you know, because of everything, it was almost as if they were angry with me for letting a piece of Christ into my heart from, you know, having watched that video. And it was like every day there was something happening. The very next day after that, I remember my brother telling me, or texting me, saying that he wanted to move in with me. You know, we both didn't have any more roommates at this point. You know, some people had quit from the summer, and, you know, we both didn't have a roommate. And he was texting me saying, I'm scared. I can't sleep at night. Can I move in with you? And, you know, he's a big kid. You know, he's never the type to be scared. But I was telling him, same thing, New Age stuff. Oh, but, you know, yes, there are demons that we've experienced and on the other side. And, you know, yes, they have power, but only as much power as you give them. They feed off of your fear. You need to be brave. And, you know, if you move in with me, they're still going to be around. And that's just going to be, you know, an action giving evidence that you are feeling fear. You need to be brave, and, you know, and so ultimately I said no. He moved in with his friend, with, you know, another person on our team, and but it was the same thing happened to me. Like, most nights I would wake up in the middle of the night in a panic, and I could feel that there was some dark being in the room. And at first I would just wait it out. Sometimes it would even be for like an hour or so, where I would just sit there, just kind of looking at my room, just waiting for either something to manifest, or, you know, just kind of waiting for it to leave so I could go back to sleep. Eventually I've learned that, you know, as time went on, I started to watch more of these New Age to Christian videos, and I experienced people like Stephen Bankar's, which, by the way, guys, if you are into any of this New Age stuff, look into Stephen Bankar's. He is awesome. That's all I'll say. I don't even want to give his story, like, but he's freaking awesome, okay? He exposes all of this New Age stuff for what it is, and anyway. So I was watching more of these videos, and it seemed like as time went on, this demonic oppression just got worse and worse. Almost like the same thing. They still had a gateway into my life because I hadn't completely let go, but they were still reacting more and more angrily towards me because I was watching more of these videos and kind of abandoning, you know, the New Age. And you know, one night, it's just crazy. And this is another reason why I'm making this video, is because people need to know how much of this spiritual warfare happens in your mind, and how much influence demons actually have over your thoughts. It's so clear to me now. There was one day I was just feeling so depressed, so down. And guys, again, I am not a depressed kind of person. I'm a happy person, you know? But I was feeling so depressed. I was even having thoughts of suicide, going into this thought, just feeling how, you know, feeling this nihilism that I was feeling, you know, months before. Just that life is pointless. I might as well just go, you know, end it right now, because there's no point. And I remember stopping myself mid-thought and thinking, why am I feeling this way? This isn't me. I never feel this way. I feel almost like I'm on shrooms again, and like I'm having these same exact thought processes that I have when I'm on shrooms. The exact same ones, like even in sequence, this, you know, one thought after the other, and leading up to the point where I'm having these suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, why? And once I do that, all of a sudden, once I'm not just in my own head, I realize that there again is something dark in the room. And the lights are even on at this point, but I don't see anything, but I can sense that there is something so evil in the room. And so at this point, I start realizing I can, you know, cast these evil entities out, either by saying, you know, in the name of Christ, I command you to leave, or I sing a little song in my head about Christ. That seemed to help too, and it would, you know, and they would leave. But they kept coming back, okay? But, you know, so I do at that time, I command it to leave, and that's a clear sign to me at this point, okay? That wasn't my thoughts. That wasn't me. And so, anyways, fast forward a little bit, a similar thing happens. I'm knocking doors, and there's this one guy that I am just so angry with. He just, you know, knocking doors, you can imagine, I'm a solicitor. There's people that don't like my, you know, that profession. And so he was, you know, he was a dick. He was saying a bunch of things that, you know, really made me mad at the time. But I was at home now, and I was just thinking about that and stewing about it. And I was so angry at this guy. And it wasn't justified at all. I was having thoughts about even, you know, hurting this guy and eventually killing him, and just in the, you know, in the most gruesome way. I was just so bitterly angry at this guy. And I took myself out of my own thought process and just thought, why am I now thinking this way? This isn't me. I am not a violent person. It's not going to change anything if I hurt him. And why do I feel this isn't healthy? Why do I feel so angry at him right now? I should just get over it. And I remember once I do that, once I escape this thought process, I hear this in my mind. Oh, he's learning. Oh, he's learning. Like I had just caught red-handed these demons influencing my thoughts towards violence and all this. And at that point, you know, same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You know, and so same thing. I have to sing a little hymn in my mind or whatever. I can sense it again. I command it to leave. And here's another thing that I wanted to explain. There are literally contracts. Okay, this is actually coming now. This is something I've learned afterward listening to a guy named John Ramirez. If you haven't heard about him, he's a Satanist. Well, he was a Satanist for like 30 years and then had a come to Jesus moment. You should look him up too. He has an awesome testimony online about how he was saved, you know, from all of the satanic stuff that he was doing. But what's really interesting is how these demons were still able to have access to my life because I wasn't entitled to the protection of God anymore. I still was letting these demons into my life. I couldn't stop it. I could, you know, maybe command them to leave or, you know, say something long enough for them to, you know, not be able to tolerate the name of Christ where they would just leave. But, you know, when you participate in the sacrament, you know, the covenant there, the promise there is that, you know, you will remember him and, you know, keep his commandments, and that then you will have his spirit to be with you. When you break that in the slightest, when you do something, even like any kind of habit that's built up over time, if you are compromised at all, where you are doing something that you know is wrong and you haven't repented of it, you are severing that contract with God. You don't have his protection anymore. And, you know, and it's the same thing with the satanic counterpart. Anytime we have these thoughts in our mind, you entertain it, even for a second, you are giving license for these demons to come and abide with you and, you know, torment you. And but I didn't, you know, I was still thinking, gradually I was letting go of all of the New Age stuff. But finally, the last time I just decided enough was enough, it was because in the night I was woken up 3 separate times from these demons. The first 2 times were pretty much the same. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, just like every other time, just in a panic, just look at the foot of my bed because I could sense that something was there. I would look, of course, I wouldn't see anything, but I knew, guys, you know when it's there. Many of you know what I'm talking about. So I would basically tell it to leave, and then I would go back to sleep. So 2 times that happened, but the 3rd time, guys, and I'll never forget this, okay? I woke up, not because, you know, in the panic, but I woke up because my whole bed was shaking. It actually, this is where my stupid mind goes sometimes. But at first I thought it was an earthquake. It was shaking that bad, and my mind at first thought, oh, this is kind of cool. I've never experienced an earthquake before. And so my bed was shaking, and I was waiting it out just to see, is it bad enough to the point where I should worry and leave? But after it's shaking for like 5 seconds, I remember then feeling this, you know, this darkness. And I remember it touching my leg and my butt. I was on my side. It was coming on to me. And I remember then my same friend that was with me when I was possessed that 2nd time, that same friend's voice, I hear it, and it just whispers in my ear, hey, how's it going? And it was an audible voice, guys. Like, this wasn't just a voice in my head. It was his voice, and it was audible. And it sounds innocent just to hear that, hey, how's it going? But it was that same tone of voice that he had when he was telling me to do all these homosexual acts with him that, you know, that 2nd night when I was possessed. And I flip over, the bed's not shaking anymore, he's not there anymore, but I'm now terrified. I feel the presence so strongly in the room, okay? And I've had enough. I'm reminded of that 2nd night when I was possessed and just all of this other stuff, and I'm just again feeling violated, and I'm just ready. I've had it. And I just pour my heart out to God. And finally, now I'm praying. I actually don't remember if I had prayed up until that point, you know. But I finally then just pour out my heart to God, and I just say, God, I'm done. Just let me go back to sleep. I'm sorry. And so then, you know, I'm able to get back to sleep, and, you know, I'm not woken up in the night anymore after that. But the next morning, I'm reflecting on that, and I'm again just thinking, okay, this has to be for real. I'm done. I'm done with all of this New Age stuff, everything that, Stephen Bankars and others have talked about on YouTube. It's like, I can't help but just accept that everything truly is a lie that I was getting into, and I'm sick. No matter how enticing it all sounds, like I just know it's not right. It's not what I want for my life anymore. And I pour my heart out to God, and I am just telling him I'm done, not just with the New Age though, just everything. I'm a Christian again. I am 100% yours. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm proud to say that since that day, I haven't looked at pornography. I haven't smoked any weed. Even little things, like I used to just swear a ton. I don't enjoy swearing anymore. I used to just get so angry. I remember me and my brother, when we would get in a fight, we would just go at it. And we would just fight and fight. And I remember I just was so much more patient, and I just wouldn't, anyways, I was just changed after that. And that was probably 2 months ago since I finally, gave my life up to Christ. And I haven't felt another demonic episode like that. They're gone. And I feel good now that when Christ talks about the living water, at the well, what he talks about there is so true. For so long getting into this New Age stuff, I was trying to fill this void in my heart, and it was like an addiction, guys. I kept trying to get more and more. It started off, by thinking maybe I want to mess with the Ouija board. Maybe, oh, these shrooms now, and maybe that after that first possession story, oh, I need more, and then astral projection, and then trying to then meditate and do all this stuff in combination so that I could have an ultimate experience. It was just getting worse, and this void in my heart was just getting bigger. And in the same moment that I declared, that I poured my heart out to Christ, I haven't felt that need anymore. I go back because of course, I love reading the Bible now. I love it. I love the feeling of the Spirit, but it's not something that I feel drained without. I go back because it's so good and it's so fulfilling. But I'm not broken anymore, and I'm healed. That black stain on my heart from that first night when I was possessed, where I describe how the candle was just blown out, it's gone. When Isaiah in the scriptures talks about, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. I felt that was one of the biggest things about that night, was I felt like it was permanent. That I was just forever damned, and it's gone. I'm whole again. And I'm just, guys, this spiritual war that is going on right now, it is so real. Okay, even though it is so real, Satan wants you. Okay, in the New Testament, I think it's Peter, he says that Satan is walking about like a lion, seeking to devour you. Guys, he at every moment is trying to get you and deceive you. Okay, he tells 9 truths along with 1 lie. There are so many deceptions today in the media. They're everywhere. And there is so much good, especially in the New Age. There is so much deceiving truths there that once you accept them in their perverted light, it just sets the gateway up to introduce these lies that are so easy to miss. And again, so much of this warfare happens in our mind. Okay, when these demons were in, even after when I was done doing shrooms, they were messing with my thoughts. I used to think that my thoughts were sacred, that, oh, only God can hear my thoughts, so as long as I pray, he can hear them. But demons, as long as you just don't acknowledge them, or they, whatever, they don't have power over you. They can't hear your thoughts. That's sacred ground. But no, guys, they don't. That's where they do their main work. That is where they are experts at doing their deception. Okay, they are like fishermen, and we are like the fish. Okay, they know what kind of fish you are. They know what kind of bait you want, whether your bait is pornography, whether it's anger or fame or whatever. Okay, there's a lot, pick your poison. They know which one is your weakness. Okay, and even though the Bible says, what Christ says in Matthew, even if you look upon a woman to lust after her, you have already committed adultery in your heart. Guys, you don't have to actually do the deed to shred that contract between you and Christ, okay? If you are already entertaining these thoughts in your mind, you've already lost. You don't need to actually do the deed for it to be done, okay? It's by faith that you are saved. And it's the same thing, it's now the counterpart on Satan's side, okay? Once you've in your heart accepted Christ, you don't have to actually go through and do all of these, actions. Yes, your actions are a manifestation of that faith, but once you've accepted Christ in your heart and you recognize that your heart is changed, His Spirit is there with you. And just like that, His grace is there. But now on the other side, the second you entertain sin in your mind, Satan's art, it's like that bait that he's got, all right? You're sitting there nibbling at it. You think that you can just nibble, but no, he's got you hooked. And he's dragging you speedily down to hell, and you don't even realize it. There is so much. I wasn't able to see it at first, but now what I've experienced, so many places in all of the media, and even the song lyrics that I listen to, it's all, again, to introduce, just to throw that bait out there. And just all around us, we have to seriously dodge this bait. And guys, the only way, the world is getting ugly right now, guys. I mean, I can feel it in my heart. Christ is coming back. The only way we're going to make it through is if you put on the whole armor of God, if you read the Bible, and you do what Christ says. You can't be a lukewarm Christian like what it says. You have to, you're either with Him or you're against Him. You can't be on the fence. The fence is owned by Satan, okay? You think you're on the fence and that you can just be good with all people, and, oh, but it's uncomfortable being, I don't want to be that judgmental Christian. Well, you're not supposed to hate people. Yeah, there's some people that make others feel bad and, who ridicule others for not being Christian, and that's not the right way to do it. But you have to accept that Christ is coming back, and if you are abiding in sin, you aren't His, okay? You don't want to be one of these virgins caught without oil when the bridegroom comes. And it's close, guys. More than just seeing the signs of the times, I can feel it in my gut. It is so close. I haven't had any dreams or, visions or anything. I mean, I wish that I could say that I was always, good and I hadn't fallen, but I'm so grateful to God that He saved me when I was even in that sin, that I felt that pull to Christ. And by the way, one other thing I just want to say, guys, is I know too that this pull that I had to Christ in big part was because of the prayers of my family members. Okay, my mom and my siblings, I remember telling them all this story, and they were so happy to hear it, and they said that they were praying for me. And guys, I was lost. I was completely lost. And I really do believe that it was that pull to come to Christ. And, maybe even that YouTube video that popped up in my feed, I don't know. But I really want to say that it was in big part because of the prayers of the people that loved me. And guys, it's close, okay? And that's another reason why I'm putting this YouTube video out there, is because people need to know. People need to hear this. I can't be silent anymore. I don't want to. I've always been, more reserved, and this needs to be said, okay? Pray for those who are fallen, okay? Pray, because it has power. You don't realize it, but There are heavenly hosts all around us, as well as demonic hosts, okay? Pray. Surround yourself with light. Surround yourself with these angels, and, you know, send this message out there so that help can go to others that are deceived. But yeah, anyways, guys, I was always raised Mormon, so I don't know. I'm not, and I don't mean to say anything bad about Mormons, okay? My family, my mom, they're still Mormon, and I really believe it was their Christ-like prayers that were able to help me, okay? I don't, even though I have some doctrinal issues that I think are there, at least they're based in Christ. It's even in the name, okay? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't mean to attack them. I don't mean to defend them. I just mean to promote Christ, okay? I just want to again say, I know Christ is coming back. He is our Savior. He died for our sins. He loves you. He's there for you. And he's waiting for you, okay? He's begging with open arms. His arms are stretched out still. He's there for you. So, open up your heart to him. And I don't know if I feel like I kind of want to make some other videos. Sorry, this one's super long. I know there was a lot to tell, but I'm thinking I'll probably post some other videos here soon. But I don't even know if this video will get out there. I don't have really a YouTube following, so I don't know how well it'll do with the YouTube algorithm. But so I don't know, just to get this message out there, you know, if you found some help in it, you know, share this video, like it, do your thing. But anyway, guys, love you. And I hope you're ready for the chaos that's going to come. I can feel that the tribulations are coming, but God bless.